trying to get people to like you, to love you, to respect you, to approve of you, it's a losing game, and it just leads to frustration in the end. In my early 20s, I read a lot of personal development books, and one of the books that I read, the type of thinking in it really set me back years in terms of relating to people. The book was How to Win Friends and Influence People, and in the wisdom of the world, it makes so much sense. It's talking about letting other people talk, and they'll think you're a great conversationalist. Um, if you come up with an idea, making someone else think that it's their idea because they'll be more likely to put it into place, and you're trying to apply all of these things, but there's no authenticity in it, there's nothing real in it. It's basically you just playing a game to get to the end goal, which is to get people to like you and to respect you, which in the end isn't fulfilling anyway, because you know that you haven't been real or authentic. You've done all these things to try to manipulate the situation. It's crazy. And I look back and I think of how insecure I was in my relationships with people, in the way that I perceived people, in the way that I wanted people to like me and respect me and get the approval of people. And it's just so different with the gospel. It's so different. You just something goes off inside of you, and all of a sudden you're living in this place, this identity of freedom, of who you are in Him. And from this place, you're able to interact with other people with complete freedom, because you're not trying to get anything from anyone. You're not, there's no end goal. You just love people. You just want to bless people. And there's so much freedom in that place. And it's so counterintuitive. But that's the paradox of so many things with the gospel. It's backwards. Jesus turned the world upside down. And rather than trying to work your way up to a certain place, you're starting from that place, that identity, and you're living out of that place. And it's just so much freedom in there. I remember years of just stressing and straining and just trying to get people to approve and get influence and stuff like that. It's just so silly looking back. It's just, you're digging a hole for yourself, and the goal is not even right in the first place. But then coming to a place where God really worked a love in my heart for people because of His love for me. When you look at the cross and you see His love, and you look at your sin and you see, in spite of your sin, how much He loves you, and that love takes hold of you, all of a sudden you just want that love to pour out to others. And that's your goal. And it's so wonderful beyond words when you're living from that place. It's just so great. I used to always have a bit of a negativity towards people. I used to always sort of, I don't know what the exact word is, but, and I think it was based on my own insecurities, because I didn't feel that I was who I wanted to be, or that I was seen in the way that I wanted to be seen. And there was just this negativity. There wasn't this freedom when I was interacting with people. But now it's just absolute freedom. It's just operating out of this place where it's just like you don't even care what anyone thinks about you. It's just so silly. It's just so you know what God thinks about you. And that dictates all of your relationships with people. And you just see things in perspective as well. You just see it as it is. And we really need to come to that place where all we're seeking after is God. And every single thing that we do pours out of the mind of Christ. Whether it's we're forgiving because we realise we've been forgiven, or whether we're loving because we know that we've been loved. We're living selflessly because we know that this life is not our own. It all comes out of a tree that produces fruit naturally. And that's the thing. I was always trying to create the fruit, like sticking pieces of fruit on a dead tree, rather than actually worrying about the tree, making a tree good and allowing it to produce the fruit naturally. We get sucked in to the things of this world so easily. And I heard one preacher say that we've been homeschooled in the wrong school, in the wrong home, taught everything backwards. It's only when we get in the gospel and we comprehend the gospel that everything is turned around the right way. And this whole life is lived out of our identity. We're no longer stressing and straining. We just don't have that mentality anymore. It just doesn't exist. It's just all flowing out of who we are. And relationships is the foundation. You know, Jesus says, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And when we understand what it is to love people, life becomes so wonderful. We can walk in our purpose. We're no longer trying to get anything from anyone. We're just walking along trying to bless people. Not so that they will like us, not so that we can get influence with them, but just because God's love is just burning inside of us. It's overwhelming us, it's overflowing, and it's just pouring out to others. And we see others as people created in God's image. We see other Christians as sons and daughters of God. We see those who don't believe in God as those who are desperately lost. We don't take offense to anything that anyone says, because what anyone says doesn't dictate our identity. It doesn't change anything about us, and rather than grieving because someone said something about us, we're grieving because they don't know who they are in Christ. Isn't it such a different position to be living from? A place of absolute freedom. And having gone through a journey over many years, it's amazing living from this place for some time now. And you look back and you think, how did I not get it? How did I not get it? How did I literally do everything backwards? I wanted to get to this place, but I didn't know that this place existed. I didn't know what this place was. And I did everything completely wrong. The opposite of living out of this place. And that's why, like I said, you can't work your way up to this place. You have to have a revelation of this place and start from this place and live from this place. And then you're not trying to do anything at all. It's just all natural. So that's my message for today. Don't try to win the approval of people. Don't even make that your goal. It's such a natural thing inside of us. Don't try to get people to like you. Honestly, just focus on knowing God, on who you are in Him, and focus on making the tree good, and then see the fruit that comes from that. You can't manufacture the fruit. If you're not a fruit tree, you can't produce fruit. You have to get the tree right first. And as I said, that applies to all areas, including interacting with people and loving people and all of that. And then, yeah, it's just so wonderful. I'd love to get your thoughts on this, actually, because I speak out these words and I say these things that sound very, they make a lot of sense to me. I've been living out of this place, and I know there are a lot of people that aren't living out of this place, and they desperately want to live out of this place, and they don't even know if it's possible to live out of this place. I can tell you that it is, because I was one of those people. But I would love to know where you're at in regards to this in the comments. I would really love to know that. And I would love to know what your takeaway is from this message. If there's anything that I've said, if there's any main core understanding that you've taken away that you think is going to help you in this area. And I look forward to speaking more into Christian living and how we can actually practically live out this life, because theology is good, sermons are good, all of this stuff is good, but what matters is how are we actually living out this life. And it all starts in relationship with Him. And if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing. Also my other channel, Line of Fire Ministries, where I do short videos to encourage, inspire, challenge and convict. And I look forward to talking to you soon, friends. God bless you.